He's come across the pond. And newly signed BKFC fighter Mark Godbeer tells me that he plans to use his hands of God to take off Sam Shewmaker's head. The British invasion is next. All right, bare knuckle fight fans and combat sports fans, Susan Cingari here with Mark Godbeer, who's finally in the U.S. Now, there's an interesting story about how you got here. So let's first start with that, because I know there was a lot of trial and tribulation, so to speak, because of COVID.
Yeah, so basically, I think it was probably around about March time last year that I was originally scheduled to fight Joey Beltran for the BKFC title. So then what happened after that? Obviously, COVID kicked in. So I trained for maybe 2 months getting ready for Joey Beltran. And then the next minute, you know, the whole world went on shutdown. So I was just sort of stuck in the UK, really. You know, we were stuck in the UK. And then it got to the point where the UK was just about to shut down for the second time. And then me and Tyler Goodjohn then signed for BKFC. So I sort of collaborated with him, and we came up with a plan to get to the US and just base ourselves in the US so we could go ahead and fight, because I haven't fought for a year due to COVID and fights being cancelled, etc., etc. So what we had to do, we found a loophole to get into the United States. Obviously, we had to do all our COVID tests, etc., do all the medicals, and then get ourselves to Dubai. So we got ourselves to Dubai, and we had to spend 14 days in Dubai, quarantining, which wasn't too bad, to be fair. You know, it was nice and sunny. So, and then from Dubai, I had to fly direct from Dubai to New York then, and then from New York got my connecting flights to where I was going into the US. So yeah, it was quite a mission. Yeah,
wow.
Let's say that. Yeah.
Well, we are glad you're here, and we need to talk immediately about BKFC 15 and your fight with Sam Shewmaker. How will you use your height advantage over Sam?
Obviously, Sam's got very good basic boxing, you know, and when I say basic boxing, I don't mean that in a way where, you know, I'm taking anything away from Sam. Sam's got he's got basic technique, but he does it very well. And for me, in bare knuckle boxing, that's probably the best, to have nice basic straight punches, straight down the pipe. So I've got a plan, I've got to figure him out, but as far as my height advantage is concerned, it's bare knuckle boxing, or bare knuckle fighting, should I say. Now we're in the US, we call it bare knuckle fighting. So that's my plan. I'm going to go in there and fight. So I'll prepare myself for all situations. If I can beat him to the jab, I'm going to stick him on the end of my jab. If he's beating me to the jab, which could be a possibility, then I'm going to be in his face. So I'm just preparing for all scenarios. So
Mark, how do you want to start the fight? Because you're a very aggressive fighter.
I'm going to just put pressure on Sam from the beginning. So there's no, I'm not hiding the fact that I am coming to fight. I've stated it from the start. I think that's probably why I've been noticed and signed by BKFC, because they do know, win, lose, or draw, I will come to fight. So straight off the bat, I'm going to put pressure on Sam. I can't see there being much of a feeling out stage. And I'm just coming to, as harsh as it sounds, to try and take his head off, get out of there early. You don't get paid for overtime in bare knuckle boxing. So we will see. We will see.
Spoken like a true Brit, I should say. I love your enthusiasm and energy for the sport. It's much like mine. Do you think you have more power in your hands than Sam?
Oh, 100%, definitely, yeah. 100%. What's Sam's record? I believe is it 5-1-1? Yeah, but I believe most of them's gone. the distance, I believe, from what I've been looking. So don't get me wrong, Sam's a heavyweight. We had a bit of back and forth on social media. He called me a dipshit because of my spelling and so forth. You know, that's sort of stuck in my head a little bit. But you know, we've had, like I said, we've had a back and forth, but we're both heavyweights. We're both big guys. I believe Sam's between 250, 260. So bare knuckle boxing, you get punched. Like, we've all got power. It's going to hurt. So, but I do believe I have the advantage on him on size and strength. So we'll see how that one plans out.
So, Mark, when you first got to the USA, you were training with Joe Elmore in Atlanta. Hugs to Joe Elmore. Talk about the training with him then.
Yeah, Joe's a very good guy. I had some really good training down with Joe. And then, obviously, because I started off training with Tyler in Dubai, then I left Tyler when we come to the States. I ended up coming back down to Vegas. Going down to Joe, training in Atlanta, Georgia with Joe and his team. And then I then from there, I then left and went to Vegas then. So I was offered some good sparring, some world-class sparring in Vegas. So naturally, I took him up on the offer. I come over to Vegas. I'm hoping to get back down to Joe before my camp's finished. So if I'm honest with you, everywhere I've been in the USA, everywhere I've gone, the appreciation I've had just for getting here and going through the hoops of what we've gone through just to get here. Literally everyone's bent over backwards for us. You know, Joe Elmore, his coach, and then at the moment we've got Christine Ferreira. She's looking after us at the moment, showing us all these great gyms, some great backstreet Mexican gyms. The gym she trains at is in YX3, and then but everyone's just been. Literally, the hospitality we've had from you American guys has been brilliant. We've had better hospitality from you guys than what we have from guys back home, so that says something. I think the American guys, on the whole, they're such big fight fans, and I think that, like I said, with what we've done on the hoops we've gone through just to get here, I think people actually seen the effort we've put in just to fight and entertain you guys. So that's kind of looking after us here, which is nice. We're being well looked after. So
good,
yeah, it's cool.
I'm glad to hear that because as we spoke earlier in the interview, it took you a really long time to get here. All right, why does this have the ingredients for a spectacular fight, do you think?
Well, you've got the US hillbilly versus the UK hillbilly. So that in itself should say a lot, So like I said, with Sam, we had a bit of a back and forth. We got the fight. We sold the fight with a bit of social media, back and forth social media shenanigans, should I say? So, but I've got no ill towards Sam, but I do see him. I generally see him as one of the top contenders in BKFC. So, and obviously, like I said, I was originally scheduled to fight Joey Beltran, but that was nearly a year ago now. And BKFC, obviously, with us Brits not being able to come over, BKFC has had to move forward, and I completely understand that. So there's been a lot of fights gone on in between the last year. So the heavyweight division has sort of shook up a little bit. So I think it's probably the right fight to make now is to put myself in against one of the top contenders, i.e. Sam Shewmaker, and test my skills against Sam and re-earn my shot at the title again. So like I said, I'm not taking Sam lightly, and I do generally think he's one of the top guys, if not the top guy that's next in line for the title. So this is a title, I've been told, by the guys from BKFC, the boss man stuff, this is a title eliminating fight. So I get this fight, I get this next shot at the title. So win, lose or draw, I plan on putting every single ounce of energy into this fight and winning this fight. I haven't gone through what I've gone through just to quit at the last minute. There's one way this fight's going. There's only one way you get me out of there, and that's knocking me out.
Speaking of titles, you made your USA debut at Valor BK1. And as we roll this video, talk us through it, because you picked up the heavyweight title there, and it was tournament style. Oh boy.
When obviously with the tournament format, because I fought bare knuckle before, so obviously I fought on the British scene for BKB. So going into that tournament, I knew how easy it was to take damage in a bare knuckle boxing fight. So when the draws come up, I believe the fans voted on it. My first fight was put against Jack May. Going into the Jack May fight, the very first fight, I knew in order for me to survive the tournament and get through to the next round and win the next fight, I had to get Jack May out as quick as I could and take as least damage as I could. So going into that first fight, it was literally a kill or be killed sort of scenario. So I went in, tucked my chin down, and I just got straight off the bat. I got right in Sam's face, and I was just swinging bombs to land that one shot. And then I was fortunate enough, I caught him with a stiff jab. And that's the thing with bare knuckle as well, is a jab can be just as powerful as a right hand. As you see, I caught him with a big stiff jab, and I almost knocked him out with a jab. Obviously, Jack got back up. I take props to Jack. He got back up. You could see he was wobbling, but I wasn't going to give him no time to recover. So as the ref called fight again, I can remember I directly come straight at him. I feinted with a shoulder roll and then just dropped the big right hand and landed it on his chin. And that was good night for that first fight. So then obviously I went into the fight with Mighty Mo. Tough as they come. He still got back up, still come back into the fight. I can remember he had a split on his nose, and I can remember his hand being really swelled. So I was thinking to myself, I think his nose is broke, and his hand, you could see his hand was swollen. So I wondered what I kept aiming for. I was honing in on his nose. I thought because his nose was bleeding, I could see he was having breathing problems with his nose. So, I had to be smart. I just kept trying to hit that big jab on his nose. And then the first knockdown with Mighty Mo, I think I stepped in with a jab. So as I threw the jab, I stepped in with it, caught him on the nose. You could see he winced because he turned his head. As he turned his head, I think, was it a left hook or right hook, one or the other. And I threw a hook, I believe it was a left hook, and I caught him just on the ear and knocked him down the first time. And then from that point, I kind of knew the fight was mine then, So then he got back up. Still fighting. You got to put a heart for Mighty Mo. He's got back up, still fighting, and then I think it was a stiff jab again. I dropped him with, I stepped him with it again, stiff jab, boom, and that's the difference with, like I said, with bare knuckle and boxing. Like you can literally put someone over with a jab, and anyone that's not used to being punched with a bare fist with no gloves on. Because it's one of those, bare knuckle's one of these sports where you can't practice bare knuckle. You can't be in the gym fighting bare knuckle. You can't practice it. So unless you've actually experienced it live, in a fight live, then you don't know what it's like to be punched with bare knuckle. And even though the two guys I fought, Jack May and Mike Mo, probably two of the most experienced stand-up guys in the world, but I also knew I had the advantage because I knew what it was like to be punched with a bare knuckle. So, I kind of had a little bit of an advantage going into that tournament because I believe I was the only one fighter that's fought bare knuckle at that point. Even though there's really experienced fighters, I was the only one that actually fought bare knuckle going into that tournament. So I had the advantage. I kind of knew what plan I had to execute, and I did it well, if I don't mind saying so myself.
Yeah, I would say that your experience was definitely the deciding factor in that fight for sure. You know, we have different audiences now. We're bringing in a British audience. We have an international audience as well, USA audience. I want our viewers, especially overseas, to understand that BKFC is one of the only sports in the USA that you can fight in the clinch. But Mark, that's not going to be a really big issue for you because you have some great Muay Thai training and also have fought, you know, in this fashion before. So tell us a little bit about your background and also explain to the viewers the difference between the rules of BKB and some of the organizations you fought in and BKFC, please.
Yeah, so I think obviously I fought all styles before. I fought Muay Thai, I fought kickboxing, I fought boxing, I fought MMA, bare knuckle boxing. So style-wise, I think now as I've got a bit older, obviously I did have a long career in MMA. I fought for Bellator, the UFC. But I think now, style-wise, I think people brand me as what you call a prize fighter. Yes. So I'll fight any style. So with me, because I'm not strictly a boxer and I have fought MMA, I've trained clinch work for years. I've trained Muay Thai for years. Like I said earlier in the interview, my sponsored team out in Thailand is Phuket Top Team, which is a massive Muay Thai gym. So the clinch side of things in BKFC isn't an issue for me. To be honest, it's more of an advantage for me, you know. So I'm happy with that. But like just describing the two differences between, excuse me, the British bare knuckle company. I don't really want to say the name. Okay. And KFC. So the British bare knuckle company is strictly pro boxing rules, but with no gloves. So there's no clinch in the British boxing. I can't grab hold, half tie, plum. I can't grab hold back of their head, an uppercut in the clinch and stuff. But with the BKFC, the difference with the BKFC rules, obviously this is why they call it bare knuckle fighting, not bare knuckle boxing. I can actually grab hold of my opponent, so I can work my way in, punch in. If I see him put his head down, I can grab hold back of his head and throw uppercuts and use, I believe it's just a half tie plum, they call it. So a full tie plum is where I can get both hands behind the back of the head and I can knee him in the head. With BKFC, they call it the half tie plum, which is where I can grab hold with one hand and pull his head down and uppercut in the clinch. But if I'm not active, the referee still stops it the same as what he would with a boxing clinch. If I clinch out and there's no punches being thrown, then he's going to separate us. Yeah. So that's the slight differences with the rule sets between the British bare knuckle and BKFC, the American company, which suits me down to the T. Because, like I said, I've been training these sort of styles for years, so there's no issue my end with that.
Go Combat Agency, how excited are you to be a part of that family over there with Vince and Scott? Because they're terrific guys.
Yeah, they've helped me out a lot, Go Combat Agency. You know, they're helping me out with getting some big sponsors on board, good communications, getting my name out there. You know, they're doing everything they can. Obviously, they're the same as bare knuckle. You know, bare knuckle's relatively new sport. These guys are relatively new, a new management agency for bare knuckle. So everyone's sort of learning as we go. Everyone's coinciding. Everyone's talking with each other, what works, what don't. And we're building a good team now. We've got some really good fighters now on for Go Combat Agency. You've got myself, Chris Quinton Henry, Sheena Starr. You know, there's, you know, we've got some big names signed for BKFC, all within one sort of team of Go Combat Agency. So I'm glad to be a part of it. Yeah, and they take the stress out. Anyway, anyone knows leading up to a fight, you know, that it can be quite stressful. So they take the stress out. They do all the you know, they do all the media side of things and that for me. They organise all of that. So, yeah.
People like me. Speaking of that, I want to thank Vince Anderson at the Go Combat Agency for helping me set up this interview. Before we go today, Mark, is there anything else you would like to add? And please give our viewers your social media handles.
Yeah, so obviously since starting with BKFC, I've come away from the UFC and stuff like that. So I've started new social media. So I've got my Facebook athlete page, which is under Mark the Hand of Godbeer, and my Instagram account is Mark.Godbeer _ BKFC _. So also as well, can I give a shout out to my sponsors if possible? So we've got Fusion CBD products. They've been really good for me. They've given me packages with CBD and stuff like that, which has helped for my recovery and stuff, So and then also I've got Mary Jane's House of Glass. They're a good sponsor. I've got Taunton Aerials. I've also got Jurassic Coast Construction. And there's one more, which is Street Martial Arts Club, which is, I've got to give these a special shout out. So as one of my friends back home, he started obviously an MMA club back home, getting that up off the ground. But in doing so, he's also helped me out as well as an athlete, helped me towards training costs and stuff to get over here. So I've got to give a big shout out to my friend JP from Street Martial Arts Club back home. And in the new year, I will be doing lots of seminars and classes for that club. So anyone that's local to the Somerset area in England, obviously in the new year, once all this COVID's done and dusted, catch me at some seminars and stuff at Street Martial Arts Club.
All right. I want to thank Mark Godbeer for taking the time to interview with Bare Knuckle News. And I also want to thank Vince Anderson from the GOAT Combat Agency for helping me set up this interview. All right, combat sports fans, BKFC 15 goes down Friday, December 11th from Biloxi, Mississippi. We will be there, bringing you all the beautiful bloody action. Smash the subscribe button, share, like this video, and leave me a comment below. I'm Susan Cingari, and remember, no one beats us to the punch.